across the UK.
All right, Lucy, thank you very much for that update. Lucy Manning in London there. Well, as we reported earlier, the Israeli Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, has said that the blockade on the Gaza Strip will be tightened into a full siege to prevent food and fuel being brought in. One organization in Gaza that's been struggling with this is the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees. Over 70,000 displaced people are currently sheltering in UNRWA shelters, and one such shelter, a school, was severely damaged in an airstrike today. Well, I'm joined from Athens by Juliet Touma, who is the Director of Communications at the UNRWA. Good to have you speaking to us. We were actually meant to speak to one of your colleagues earlier in Gaza. We weren't able to. Just let us know what happened there. We hope she's safe.
Yes, that's right. So far, she is safe, but she and many other colleagues have had to take cover in one of the UN bunkers in the city of Gaza, in one of our offices there. So she couldn't be with you today. The numbers of those displaced who have sought shelter in our schools has in fact doubled overnight. We have registered nearly 140,000 people in our schools. All have fled to our schools in search of safety.
And it can be difficult to describe the exact situation that people are having to deal with. But can you just paint a picture for us what people are going through in these shelters?
From what we hear from our staff themselves, they're terrified. They're really very scared and worried for their safety, for the safety of their children, their relatives, their families, their loved ones. I mean, for many of them, this is the sixth time that they're living through an escalation of violence. So they're really, really terrified.
How much harder does this siege on Gaza, this complete siege that's been announced, this blockade, no food or fuel coming in, how much harder does it make it for you to operate, and how will you still be able to get sufficient aid to the people who need it?
Yeah, well, Gaza has been under a blockade for the past 16 years, 16, which is also why the number of people who rely on the UN Refugee Agency for the Palestinians has increased massively over the past few years. So, for example, 1.2 million people rely on our food assistance, which we had to stop because of the escalation. A lot of people go to our schools. In fact, 300,000 children go to our schools. The levels of poverty have reached more than 60%. So already before the 7th of October, the situation has been very, very difficult. And we worry that a further tightening will make a situation that is very bad far, far worse, especially for civilians, among them many women and many children.
It's a complex situation, a difficult one. But what is your biggest concern at this time? Obviously, there's a lot to be concerned about, but what worries you the most?
The safety of people, the safety of civilians, the safety of our staff. UNRWA has only in Gaza 13,000 people who have been working with us for many, many years. They are the people who provide services, including schooling, including health, including sanitation, among others. So the biggest concern right now is the protection and safety of people, of civilians, women and children, including our own staff. And the second concern is humanitarian access. And so for us to have unlimited humanitarian access in and out of Gaza, which is not happening at the moment. We have staff inside Gaza who are not able to get out of Gaza, and we're not able to get into Gaza.
So a lot about this is not new, but there is also a lot about this particular attack that is unprecedented. How optimistic are you about a humanitarian corridor being created for you to be able to get aid to people?
At the moment, the United Nations is calling for the fighting everywhere to come to an end, and for the protection of civilians and for civilian infrastructure, including schools, hospitals, clinics, places of worship. This is what we're calling for at the moment. The fighting has got to stop everywhere.
All right, Juliet, thank you very much. Juliet Touma there, joining us from the United Nations Agency for Palestine Refugees. Good to have you on the programme.